Hey guys, welcome back with Mrs. Struble. Today we're going to talk about parts given any circle. By the end of this video, you will be able to identify the different parts of any given circle, and also you'll be able to find the radius given the diameter, or the diameter given the radius, vice versa. So let's get started. Okay. Any circle, no matter what the size, has different items or parts to it. Okay. The first part that we need to be very clear about is that little point, okay, dead in the middle. This is called the circle's center. We can also label it C. Another part of a circle is when we have a line that touches any two sides but goes straight through the center. This is what we call the diameter. And we use a lowercase d to label the diameter. From there, we also have, if we have a line that goes from the center to any point along the circle, so it could be go up here, it could be go on this side, but it goes to any outside part of the circle, that is what we call a radius. So it's halfway through the center, or the circle, and we label that lowercase r. Those are the basic parts of a circle. Now, we also have parts when you get into the higher sections of math. We have what's called a sector, which is just a section here. Okay, so this would be a sector. We have what's called a chord. So when I have a line that passes through or goes from one edge to the other without passing through the middle or the center, that's called what we call a chord. Okay, and it is spelled that way. We have tangents, so a line that passes along one point, intersects at one point along the outside of a circle. Yes, this is a line. This is what we call the tangent. We have a lot of other fun things going on here, but let's stay focused on what we're here for. Let's say we have a circle, and we know that the diameter, remember, the distance all the way across the circle through the center, is 20 feet. And it's asking us to find the radius. Now remember, the radius is from the center of the circle to any point along the out edge of the circle. Now if you noticed, we can line these up so that the radius is actually overlapping that diameter. And when we do this, if we haven't done so already, we can see a relationship here. And the relationship is that the radius ends up being half of the diameter. So if the diameter is 20 feet, we're just going to take that, divide it by 2, and we now know that the radius is 10 feet. But what if we have the radius? So in this circle, let's say the radius is 7 meters. In order to calculate the diameter, remember the diameter is all the way straight across the circle, running through the center. So if the radius is 7, to find the diameter, we would need 2 of them, so 2 radii. How would we do it? We'll just take this 7 times it by 2, and that gives us our total diameter distance of 14 meters. Now let's let you give it a shot. So pause the video, try these 2 problems, and see what you get. Now that you've tried these, let's figure them out together. The big part here is figuring out which one's the radius and which one's the diameter. I don't have a picture handy every time. One way that I remember which one's which is if you write D and R next to each other, take a look. The R is always about half of the diameter, okay? Which is true. The R, or the radius, is always the shorter length. Okay? Hopefully that helps you out. But if we know the diameter, that's the big guy, we can find the radius because the radius is half of him. So the radius in this example would have been 8. 16 divided by 2. In the second example, we know the radius, but we don't know the diameter. In order to get the diameter given the radius, we would take the radius and times it by 2, so that it is now the same length. So 9 times 2, we get 18 yards. And don't forget your labels here. It's quite a bit of a difference between 8 centimeters and 8 yards. So make sure you're labeling correctly. To put it into algebra format, we could use these formulas to help us calculate the diameter or the radius. The diameter is equal to 2r. I went ahead and put a little dot here just to remind us that there is multiplication between those. When you see a number next to a letter or a variable, that is automatic multiplication. And the radius is equal to the diameter divided by 2. A fraction is division. So in this video, we have learned how to identify different parts of any given circle. We've also learned how to find the radius given the diameter or the diameter given the radius. Thank you for joining me. Until next time, this is Mrs. Struble with Struble Math. See ya!